Hello and welcome to a very special episode of That Shooting Show. We are here with my dear friend Chene van der Merwe. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's excellent. Only took you 6 years.
But the W is more of a V, is that right? Van der Merwe.
Yes, Merva. Yep.
Mer.
Oh,
And
I
she
did it again. I corrected you after you did it right.
and she is, of course, from my second home, South Africa, and we are here to talk about, I believe it's my sixth tour of South Africa.
6-1. Can you
Yeah.
believe it?
And we have a lot of new things that we have been working on. So if
Hmm.
you've seen me in South Africa before, my pronunciation of your name will be improved. And we have some new stuff that we're going to show you. And super excited to come back. We have had so many South African shooters do so many great things after coming through this training.
Hmm.
I can think of several people that have gone from just below the top to 10 people,
At least.
at least 10 people. Okay.
Hmm.
They, they don't all reach out and tell me. So having seen them in
And
action, you know,
yeah,
heck, I
it's
can think of one guy whose name we will not mention because we don't have his permission. He told me specifically, hey, I don't want to practice a lot and I know I'm not going to, but I want to continue to do well and have fun. And I said, hey,
mhm.
if you learn to do these three things, you will beat people who are working much harder than you, and it will frustrate them a lot. And he said, perfect.
He's a daddy now.
And that's just one of the many things that we can do, we've got this. So shooting, improving your shooting seems really complicated and really confusing. Chene and I have worked together to simplify it to the greatest extent possible. And the real key is learning to do a few basic things and then working on one thing at a time. And if you work on one thing at a time, it's very easy to improve. But if you're
Yes,
trying
but
to
if
work,
you've got so many things that are overwhelming you, you don't know what to touch and what to leave. And that's, I think, where a lot of people starts getting freaked out about it. And sorry to interrupt you, but
oh,
um, so that's what we're trying to do, right? Is to get them to a point where many things can be broken down into specific points where we've now got classes to pinpoint those things, and then the classes can be broken down into what you can work on after that class.
mhm. There are three big problems in the sport, and we're going to address all of them.
Mm-hmm.
The primary problem is most people are practicing incorrectly from a mental standpoint. And what they're doing is very intuitive and it feels like the right thing to do. And it can get you to a certain level, right? It can get you to the middle of the pack for sure, just because the
Yep.
basic skills are improved. But understanding how to practice through the lens of the mental game, that was something that you had to learn, and you've gotten great dividends from learning that.
Yep.
Right?
Um,
And we're going to show. Go ahead.
no, it's just walking away from shooting feeling positive rather than a whole bunch of things in my head that I'm doing wrong. I mean, that is just gigantically improved on how you arrive at the shooting range the next time, how you arrive at a stage which has got similar things to the ones you practiced, and what is your perception of those things and what you feel that you can or can't do.
That's right.
Makes a big thing in just how you practice. And people think it's like, oh, should I like have my finger better on the trigger, or should I improve my grip, or am I going to practice like those tiny little things? And it's actually not about any of that. Is about what you walk away thinking, feeling, and writing in your journal when you leave the shooting range, whether it be a practice session or an actual match.
Of course. Yeah. And it's counterintuitive. And if people have a type A personality, It's really counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but I think you could testify that it gets kind of addictive once you learn how to do it and see how well it works.
You know, we are all smart enough to know that if something's working, I want more of that.
That's right.
That's basically, you're not going to keep doing something that's not working. Well, maybe some people do, but I mean,
Shooters do it all the time, right?
yep.
The other thing we're going to address is how to achieve the state that everybody likes the best, the condition everybody likes the best,
Hmm.
in which they're not thinking and they don't care.
That's very boring.
Is that the way they would describe it in South Africa? When I don't think and I don't care.
No, it just becomes, and I think that's when people start going back to doing something that's not working. Shooting like that subconsciously can be very, you just watching the gun go. There is not much more to it. It can become boring in the actual act because you're not thinking about anything.
I
Um,
watched I watched Gaz last time we did match mode coaching with Gaz, and we had that little squad. We went all the way around, making stages, shooting stages that were there.
mhm.
That was such a great day. Do you remember that time that Gaz shot that V-shaped stage, and watching him shoot was like watching paint dry? It was
Yep.
his splits were in the 40s, Chene. And I remember thinking, oh, Gaz has really dialed it back a little bit. And then we looked at his hit factor, and he wins the stage by 2 hit factors.
Yep.
Right. So even me watching him, I was like, oh, Gaz might need to turn up the heat a little bit. Nope. He was doing exactly what he knows how to do.
Yep.
Um, should we talk about some of the specifics? We're doing. Are we doing a separate shooting on the move class, or is that just in the big classes? Sorry.
No, so we don't have a scheduled shooting on the move class. We kind of will end up doing some shooting on the move in a lot of the or some of the classes we've got. The steel and swinger shot calling, we always end up doing shooting on the move while we do steel shot calling in any case, because you need
Okay,
to be
so
able
let's
to
let's talk
let.
about steel swingers. Okay, what those two have in common. Does the word hopers resonate in South Africa? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that reminds me, the first time I was there, I said makeup for 3 days, and then somebody said, what is a makeup? Oh, fill in. Yes, fill in. Okay. I just want to make sure I'm
How
using
embarrassing.
the right. Aperture. Oh, okay, aperture. You got to tell me. I don't know. But I'm getting better.
You're
Um,
getting there.
what those have in common is a lot of Hoper shots,
Mm-hmm.
especially with iron sights. Um, so everybody in the world knows what they need to see to shoot a piece of steel, and learning to wait a tiny amount of time, not slow down, but wait a tiny amount of time, 3 to 5 hundredths of a second, to
Mm-hmm.
guarantee a hit, call that shot, is always worth it.
Always.
There is no fill in you can do on steel that's going to be as fast as getting it right the first time. It's not possible. The problem is it feels slow. We don't like that feeling,
Nope.
right? Uh, you guys don't really have plate racks, do you? Or do you?
No, not really in IPSC. Bianchi and some of the other shooting sports do have it, but IPSC, they don't like it very much in the courses of fire. So
Sure,
they would
but are they
prefer
are
to
they
have
do people see them on ranges
accessible.
when they go to practice?
Maybe 50% of the ranges might have them. It's not
Okay.
a great amount.
Let's look at it differently. Let's say you come into an aperture and there's 6 pieces of steel. Okay.
Hmm.
You guys love to use those little plates at 18 to 20 meters. Okay.
We've got nationals down in Cape Town in 3 weeks, so it's coming up.
Yeah. And there's something everybody needs to see to shoot that successfully. But the problem is it feels really slow. It's not, but it feels really slow. And if we analyze that while it's happening, so let's say I've got 3 plates out there and I'm 1, 2, 3, the mind wakes up and goes, you need to be doing this faster. And
I've got
inevitably,
this.
and then inevitably we start missing, right?
Uh-huh.
That is more mental than technical. There are some technical aspects to it that we'll discuss. And then swingers are exactly the same. There are
Mhm.
three different iterations. Is that a good word to use? Iterations?
Yep.
Okay. Of swinger shooters. Okay. I'm going to throw two at it and cross my fingers.
Mhm.
I'm going to shoot two shots, and I'm pretty sure I have two on there, but I have no idea what they are.
Yep.
We're going to get everybody to that place. That's a much better place than Hopers.
That's a much better place than just hoping for two or throwing three and hoping two hits.
Well, and if there's a penalty target or a no shoot on there, throwing three may not be the right thing to do. And then, of course, the final iteration, which many will get to, is
Mhm.
I know there's two hits on that target, and I know they're good ones. Right?
Green.
Yeah, it's very rare for a shooter to be able to say Alpha Charlie for sure. That would be ideal, but that's not
Mm.
even really necessary for most shooters. I
No, it's
don't
the
know.
same as the partial targets on the with the no shoots on, right? We
Yeah,
just need two green shots on there. If you've got two green ones, Alpha close Charlie, who's going to? You're not shooting against Eric Raffel.
I don't know that a single stage has ever been decided by a Charlie or Delta on a swinger, but I
No,
know stages get decided by mics on a swinger
not
all the
on
time,
Springer. Hmm.
all of
All
the
the
time.
time.
Yep.
Mm.
And one
Yeah,
of the one of the things that's different about IPSC than USPSA is you guys use a lot more moving targets than we do. I wouldn't say they're rare in USPSA, but they're much more common in IPSC, much more common.
you've got at least 50 to 60% of the stages will have moving targets, and that is if it only has one. Sometimes they've got more than one per stage.
And one of the things we're going to show people is shot calling revolutionizes. I don't know if there's a more powerful word than revolutionize.
Hmm.
Transforms in a revolutionary way your ability to handle activators. What do you guys call it when you shoot something else after the activator before the mover? What do you guys call that?
I don't know, a target.
Yeah. Okay. We will use that word.
What do you call
Okay.
it? What do you call it?
People they're usually static targets, so they'll usually
Mm.
say movers. They'll usually say activator,
Yes,
static mover is what
yes,
they'll use.
yes, yes. The
It, it's it's
phrasing is,
it's assumed to be a bonus target that's not moving, right?
yep,
Could be steel, but it's frequently paper.
yep.
And what people don't understand, well, not everybody understands that learning to call those shots is the key to doing that quickly and effectively. There is nothing faster than knowing you've hit the activator. There's nothing
Mhm.
faster than knowing you've hit the swinger. We're going to remove all that doubt. You remember in your early days how many times you'd leave a position and go, "Ooh, I'm not so sure about that."
Listen, I did it 2 weeks ago. I was long course getting out of there, two steps down. I had to backpedal, go back because I had the delayed reaction of, oh, that one wasn't there. I still had, but focus phrase wasn't in place. So
Well, so we'll work on that too.
mhm.
And the other thing about shot calling is people know they need to do it, but they're not aware how much faster it makes them. Do you remember the shooter? I believe it was the first or second year I was there. A very good younger shooter took six shots on three targets. Pew, 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 pew. Stopped, looked over the
Oh,
gun to confirm the hits were all good.
it
decided to fire,
happened.
decided to fire
Mm,
a fill in, and then left. Right.
yep.
Well, at a 5 hit factor, your average hit factor 5.5, maybe 6 in there
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yes,
You
that's
don't
about it.
have time to turn a delta or an alpha, a delta or a Charlie into a alpha and have it help your hit factor if you're
No,
looking for holes in the target.
no,
And in
there's no.
some cases, not even a miss. Let's just do the math on that real quick. I love this.
Oh, I didn't send you my a four target stage the other day.
I haven't seen it.
So it was 3.21 seconds.
Wow.
Mm. I
So
think it was two Charlies.
math here. Okay, on a 5 hit factor stage,
Mm-hmm.
you've got 8/10 of a second to turn a delta into an alpha before it hurts your score. Okay.
That's not a lot of time.
Well, if you call it, it's plenty of time.
Yes.
But if you
But not to
drop,
look over. Yes,
no,
yes.
if you drop the gun and look over, particularly if it's further than 7 meters, right?
7 meters.
It's going to take you a lot longer than 8/10 of a second to do that.
Do you remember
And
what we call that in South Africa?
no,
Meerkat.
yes, meerkatting. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's another thing we're going to address in any of the classes that have a movement component. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
prevent the full setup during periods of movement. That is a huge time waster. That is 3/10 of a second on the way in and 3/10 of a second on the way out. So it is over a half a second every single time that you do it.
At
And
every aperture.
every aperture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and anybody, do you ever remember getting beat by 2 to 4 seconds on medium to long courses? And you feel like you're running fast and shooting fast, but you're scratching your head going, why am I getting beat by 2 to 4 seconds? We're going to show you why that is and how to fix it. It's extremely effective. Massive.
I know. Especially with
Uh,
the commander timer.
oh, it's glorious.
I
So
know.
let's run through the new
Start.
classes, talk about those a little bit.
So the first one we've got is positive and practical practice.
Mhm.
So for me, when I kind of, when we spoke about all these classes and the punchline that we've got there is learning how to practice with positive imprints without depleting your self-image or your, what was the word you said?
Confidence.
Confidence. For me, there's no different word, so that's what I use. But yeah, so it's learning,
Oh,
and we can teach them to practice, not necessarily the nitty gritty little skills, which will also be in there, but how to walk away from the range feeling I've got this
that's right.
or I can
And
do this.
and I don't, people may know this instinctively, but I like to really hammer it home. You will arrive at the range in the same condition that you left it last time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a match following your last practice, you will arrive at the match in the exact same condition that you left your practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly don't know how many IPSC shooters have made a correlation between confidence and performance. What percentage of shooters do you think actively know how big a role confidence plays in performance?
Maybe 20%.
Really?
Mm.
Okay.
Especially
So,
me being the person that's been doing this for such a long time. I tend to preach to people a lot when they walk away saying, "Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this. I suck at steel." I'm so much more attuned to it, to people saying those types of things. I would say only 20% of people understand how much inner talk affects and how much your confidence level and those things affect your shooting.
so what we're going to do is we're going to show you what the top 20% of the sport knows about this and show you how to use it in your own shooting. It's
And
transformational.
it's not something that you need to be able to shoot well to be able to do.
No.
Right? You don't need to be an A-class shooter to apply these fundamental thinking skills. It's not oh, I need to first be like Gaz before I can think like Gaz.
Mhm.
Right? If anybody can effectively do these things that
And
we can teach them.
I don't know that this applies to females any more than it does to males, but I had a lady in class in Florida just this last weekend at the beginning of day one. she was nervous and scared and had
Mhm.
20 different things rolling through her head one at a time.
Mhm.
At the end of day 2, she said, I'm ready to go first because I know exactly what to do and I know I can do it.
Females are easier like that. I used to be like that, thinking a lot about many things, and it took me, I would say, longer than the guys, because I can only compare myself generally to the guys, but it felt like it took me longer to grasp a lot of to switch the squirrel off. Um, but once ladies get to do that, they can completely shut down. It's one or the other. There's almost no gray area.
Well, and the other thing that's very common for females is when they have started shooting, they have gotten way more unsolicited advice than the men get.
Hmm.
In the beginning, they don't know the good advice from the bad advice, and it's not their fault
Hmm.
because people that they see and probably are better shooters that are doing pretty well are saying, "Oh, there, little lady, you got to slow down and get your hits." And
Hmm.
then a month later, they say, "Oh, there, little lady, you're shooting too many alphas. Now you got to speed up." And she's like, "What do I do? What do I
And it's
do?"
not that guys mean it from a bad way.
No.
It's just they're trying to help. And it's see it a lot with husbands and wives or fathers and daughters or that type of thing. But we're getting sidetracked now. Um,
Okay. Sorry about that.
sorry about that. We never get sidetracked about anything ever.
I need to let my next
So
know it's a little late. Go ahead and say something intelligent. I'll be right back. I
I'll
gotta send.
try. So positive and practical practice. The dates on that, I'm going to open up my little spreadsheet. Is the 28th of May. Then that is on a Tuesday, so we can let Steve rest after the weekend after he's given his 2-day class. Then the Tuesday on the 29th of May, we've got accurate and subconscious shooting.
You know what we might want to call that one. There's a buzzword for that over here that people love. Are you ready for
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Accuracy at speed. Ooh, isn't that good clickbait? Accuracy at speed.
That's
That's what we're going to give them. If you're consciously speeding up and consciously slowing down, you will always make the wrong choice.
Yep.
Um, I call that setting the cruise control in the driveway. Okay. If you reckon your average speed driving to the range or to work is going to be, I don't 60 kilos an hour, I don't know what it is, and you set your cruise control at 60 kilos, you're going to be way too slow for part of that trip and way too
Mm-hmm.
fast for another part, right? So
But
we're
it's
going
the
to.
best. The guys come off that stage when you're passing guys in the squad are going from the one stage to the other, and as they walk out the bay, they tell you, "Oh, that's a 6-second stage," and then I, it's like that just throws everything out. When you start listening to that, I go, I will just shoot it as fast as I can see it. Thank you very much. But most people will then go and see how quickly they can draw the gun and then probably fumble the draw. And then from there, the first shot is not sure. I have to look over it. And then from there, it is just ass over tea kettle.
Right. And these are these are things that the shooting community has cemented as the right thing to do.
Mhm.
It's not.
Because you can only shoot as accurately as you can see your sights, as fast.
Yeah. I mean, so I have really started studying hit factors a lot because I want to be able to speak to people that study them.
Hmm.
And when you learn the things we're going to show you how to do, you will always get the highest hit factor you're capable of today.
And that's important. It's back to my hope factor. It's not hoping that I can get a higher rate factor. It is what I'm entitled to today.
Yeah. And most people are pretty happy with the result of let's call it a winning performance, right?
Hmm.
Um, if you go to a match and you have winning performances all day long and you come second, that feels a whole lot better
Yes.
than making a bunch of mental errors and coming in 13th or 14th.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
and
the best I could do.
all of these classes will
Mhm.
provide what everybody wants the most, and that is
Free
consistency.
ammo.
Oh, well, so let's talk about that.
Sorry, no consistency.
Every class will also come with a lifetime supply of dry fire ammo.
There we go.
All the dry fire. When I when I sent when I sent Jay Beal, I sent him a CR Speed holster and a hat, and I put an empty box in there, and I labeled it "Lifetime Supply of Dry Fire Ammo."
That's epic.
And that's the other thing we can do in all of these classes. If somebody
Yes.
is sensitive to the cost and supply of ammunition,
Mhm.
a lot of this stuff can be practiced in dry fire without firing a single round. If you know how to do it, and if you're a little bit creative.
I mean, if
All right, we don't
they
get
willing to
sidetracked.
come and just if they're willing to come and they've got 400 instead of 500 rounds, or even 350, I wouldn't go less than maybe 100 or 200 less, but we can get away with 300 rounds instead of the 500 rounds by knowing this in advance,
Yes.
and absolutely. So it's not necessarily the round count on there. We can work around if somebody is ammo less ammo.
Well, and it's very interesting because depending on the situation, some people go shopping for classes and insist on a high round count.
Yep.
Oh, if it's not 10,000 rounds, I'm not going. And then when it swings the other way, oh, if it's more than 500 rounds, I'm not going. Well, we can accommodate either of those. It
Anderson shooting is the way.
well, we have had we're not authorized to use their names, but we've had many shooters climb and climb and climb by internalizing these things and practicing them and utilizing them through the mental management lens. It saves so much time and frustration.
Like we did the analysis a year or two ago, where we had out of 21 shooters, if I recall correctly, on your 2 or 3 years ago, we did the analogy, and it was a 19% increase on a national level that we had over average out of everybody that attended the 2 day or now the 3 day class. Um, 21 of those people, we had a 19% increase on average between those people from the one nationals before they did the class to the next nationals after they did your class. And
Yeah,
that's pretty significant numbers. Um, we had C class shooters, D class shooters, A class shooters across the board. We had 19%, which is great.
yeah. And if there's anybody watching this or listening to this that hasn't come to see me in South Africa, my specialty is saving you time. And you could call that
Well,
saving you time on the stage. But what I'm really thinking is saving you time in your shooting career, particularly if you're a little older and you're getting into the sport kind of late. Um, you don't have 10 years maybe to screw around.
yep.
And we can show you some very easy way to cut years off of that journey. It's my favorite thing about what I do, saving people years of struggle.
And we're looking at doing a little bit more of a handout per class. So drawing up some of the stages that we're going to be utilizing and printing them out in advance. And then the people that attend can make notes on the actual courses and design um, in your own handwriting and so on. But there is no proprietary really information regarding a stage drawing that we are handing out. So it's more of taking that stage, making your notes on it, and then you can go back and say, oh, if I build this section of the stage again for my practice and do these things that Steve advised me to do, I can work on this specific part that I need, feel that, or we identified maybe that I need to work on.
Sure. And so what a lot of people will do if they're practicing a specific stage is they'll just shoot it over and over and over and over and over again. And typically when they do that, they'll find something wrong with every performance.
Hmm.
So they leave every run. Maybe it was a little quicker, but it was sloppy. Maybe it
Hmm.
was a little bit more accurate, but it was slow. So we're going to show you how to attack a stage very systematically and reduce the time and ultimately increase the hit factor. And yes, what we accomplish in the class will be extremely important, but having the material to take home with them and continue to
Hmm.
practice it. Um,
I
you know,
think
I've
it's crucial.
I've got an insider in Thailand who is routinely going out and scoring over 100% on American classifiers. And I taught him to do that on Zoom in Thailand.
Ja.
And we're going to show everybody, it's the same thing we've done with gas. We're going to show
Yep.
everybody how to do this very systematically, so that you can. And the only reason we use the American classifiers is because you'll have actual data to compare it to.
That's it's a measurable um, to actual people
Yeah.
on the exact same stage. It's as simple as that. So you know where you are in the bigger picture.
And the very first time I talked about American classifiers in South Africa, they said, "Oh, your classification system is dumb." And then I said, "Do you guys want to shoot one?" "Oh yeah, we want to shoot one."
Want to see if I'm an A or a master or a grandmaster, and to know how far you're away from that
Yeah.
general classification. All right, so we've done positive for practical practice. We've done accurate and subconscious shooting. Touched on those. Oh, we've touched on steel and swinger as well. So we have got the 3 day, what I like to call the 3 day class. But in South Africa, when you attend the 2 day class, you also get to attend mental management. So the 3 day class will be changed slightly. I would say dramatically, actually. Um, it's called more shots or more points per second.
Yes. Yes. And if people that have been through those before, what they need to understand is you remember what we did last time. We will touch on those things briefly. And the better you are at the things we covered last time, the more new
Mm-hmm.
stuff we can do. And so those of you that are considering coming for an additional time, just keep that in mind. What is the, are you trying to send me a code there?
No, it was like you can decrease your time to have more points in less time.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
that was the
um are, are those two classes geared toward a specific level of shooter, or is that for anybody?
it'll be the same class over two separate occasions. So we'll have the one weekend class and then the other weekend class. And I would encourage people to be open to seeing which one they can attend because we try to group them together. So I will often try to have the newer guys together and then the more advanced guys together for obvious reasons. It just makes the learning experience and the interaction on the same level so much easier for everybody involved. So um, probably we'll have the more beginner guys in the beginning and then the more advanced guys in the second weekend. But we will still see how that goes. But I will speak to everybody as they book.
Okay. And I am extremely good at managing different skill levels inside the same
I know,
class.
I know.
However, if somebody's a beginner and they're watching, Gaz tear stuff up, it can be a little intimidating, no matter how well we manage it. But we'll do an excellent job no matter how it shakes out. And I can
Always.
promise people, if you do the things, there are probably at this point 12 to 20 people that I could name that have done everything I've recommended, and they're all enjoying wild success. And I could also name people who are doing about half of what I've recommended. That's not a word.
Recommended.
Um, and they're enjoying 50% success.
And they
So
might be happy with it.
it's fine.
Um,
Yeah.
If that's your level of, pay value and whatever you're trying to put in, and happy to do those things, we try to get people to come to the training, you and walk away with the possibility of either applying and being tremendously successful, or strive to apply and maybe take longer, and all of that's okay.
So
We
I'm
don't need to.
talking about not necessarily the result, but their potential.
Yes,
Okay. Somebody who knows they're not going to practice a lot has a different level of potential than somebody who's willing and able to throw everything they've got. And we want to make sure that everybody has the tools to go as far as they choose to go. It's going to be
absolutely.
great. I know I usually say it'll be fine, but now I'm going to say it's going to be great.
It's gonna be glorious. We're gonna
No,
have so much fun. I have such a good time.
the best. So
The
let's put it this
best
way.
time.
You'll have the best time learning how to shoot the best time.
The best time.
Mm.
Oh, the best time. Good job. Oh, you got me
Good.
there. It's
All
like
right,
you're
what
the
else do we need to
master.
discuss?
No, that's about it. And then obviously the mental management. We've got 2 mental management classes booked that people can attend without attending anything else. Obviously, there's no shooting involved. It is unlocking your mind and your everything when it comes to shooting. Um,
And I would encourage, if anybody has children that are doing athletics, or music, or struggling in school and they want to do better, we mental management won't help somebody who doesn't want to do better in school. But if they desire to do better in school, we can absolutely help them with that.
a big
Um,
mind shift.
yeah, your
Without
daughter had some amazing things to say about mental management, and I don't know that
and
I've now
even
ever seen her shoot it down.
no, and even my son did great. His schoolwork has increased dramatically now with his understanding what he's thinking about, not just looking at the negative things, but looking at just why am I doing it? How am I applying it? What am I thinking before, during, after, those types of things? It's changed his outlook on um, just school, because they don't like school a lot.
No, they don't. He probably hates it because he might have to wear shoes now. Does he have to wear shoes now when he goes to school?
He's in a school where he can wear any uniform, any clothes that he wants now, so he enjoys that.
Does he
But
have to wear shoes? Does he wear
no,
shoes?
no, he doesn't. But there's girls now, so now he does.
Oh, he wears shoes for the girls. Got it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed man.
Exactly. All right, so mental management. Um, what else? I can't think of anything else. I think we've covered everything.
Okay.
Yep,
Are there any opportunities for private training, or have we maxed out the calendar?
we've maxed out the calendar basically. So we've got 2 private sessions already booked. And mm, that's pretty much the new classes. I think will give anybody that's attended before the opportunity to really walk away with new outlooks and things that we haven't really touched. Swingers we did last year a little bit. We haven't spent a whole class on steel, for example, specifically shot calling. So we were looking at the things that I perceive people to complain, not complain, but think that they're not doing well at enough. The things that people always say, oh, I suck at XYZ. And for me, it was a lot of steel and a lot of swingers. And those two can match together actually very well in one class. And we might not even be shooting at any steel.
Well, and what's interesting is I would imagine that the steel activates the swinger the vast majority of the time,
Hmm. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Sometimes there's a door or what we call a stomp box or something else that activates it, but it's
Five
it's
percent.
it's going to be steel the vast
Mm-hmm.
majority of the time,
Five
right?
percent of the time probably is any some of the other type of activations, but I would say 95% is steel activators.
They're very closely related.
Hmm.
Outstanding. What else do we need to discuss?
No, we have got space. We are starting to fill up nicely, but still space in all of the classes left. So anybody that is looking at coming through, gonna run through. So you're here basically doing a general training, except for the private sessions from the 24th, which is the Friday mental management, and then you are ending on the 24th of May, and then we are finishing our last weekend class on the 2nd of June.
Okay.
So
And
those are the dates. Sorry.
what is the weather going to be like?
End of autumn going into winter.
Okay, perfect.
So it's not going to be super hot. Might have slightly shorter days, but we will work with that. But it's not going to be blistering hot, which is good. And then
Sounds
of
great.
course it's leading up to the level 4 that's coming up in, I think it's August this year, which is also leading up to the World Shoot, which is next year, which is really, if we can get people to identify specifically that they are busy in training for those specific things, um, you will obviously be able to guide them more in training for those specific bigger events.
And anybody who's going to the World Shoot must come to mental management.
Yes,
Must. And
it was
we have
phenomenal training.
we have a significant amount of time now to really fix the mental game between now and then.
Mhm.
And you know, so let's say you're somebody who feels like their technical skills are already there. Maybe I don't need a technical class, but I'm struggling with consistency, and I'm struggling with how many days is that match likely to be? Three or four?
That's the World Shoot.
Yeah.
It's 6 days. You're shooting for 5, and you've got one off day.
Okay. So you're shooting for 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Can you afford a good day, a bad day, an okay day? A good
Nope.
day, a bad day. You can't afford that to reach your goals. We're going to show you how to make sure that each one of those 5 days of shooting is a good day.
Absolutely.
And they'll have plenty of time to practice and apply before the match.
Yes, all of that.
Outstanding. Very, very good. All right. Does that cover our discussion for the day?
I think we are done. Yep.
Okay.
Say it with me.
I want to thank everybody for watching, and I cannot wait to get back to South Africa and do some braai and eat some biltong and enjoy some windhoek, um,
Yes.
or that terrible black label stuff you made me drink last time, whatever
I
that
will
was.
get you Vimtic next time. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's totally fine. All right, Chene, thank you so much for your time, and we can't wait to get to South Africa. And as we always say, get to work.
Get to work.